Welcome, IndyCar fans, to a special edition of the IndyCar Report with Elijah Poe. We're going to get Elijah, Dave Chanley, and Tipton Tribune and Elwood Call Leader Sports Editor Michelle Garmon's reaction to another Alex Palou win, this time at Long Beach. In fact, his first ever win at Long Beach. His 22nd career win, 11 in the last 24 races, one of the most dominant stretches for any driver in IndyCar history. The last 2 years, 4 wins in the first 5 races, just incredible. We're going to hear more about the performance of Alex Palou here coming up with Elijah, Dave, and Michelle. Also going to hear about a little controversy, how he got the win. He took it over in the pits after the only yellow of the race. The first yellow at Long Beach in a couple of years, and the first yellow in the series since they were back in Arlington, Texas, about a month ago. Pole sitter Felix Rosenqvist led the first 59 laps. Then there was a yellow for some debris, and Alex Palou's Chip Ganassi pit crew was superior to Rosenqvist Meyer Shank pit crew. Alex Palou got the lead and pulled away for a 5-second victory. Scott Dixon, Palou's teammate, finished third. Kyle Kirkwood, who came into the race with the series lead in points by 2 over Palou, now trails Palou by 17. Pato Award was 5th, Scott McLaughlin 6th, David Malukas 7th. Graham Rahal, really good day for Rahal. Letterman Lanigan, he finished 8th. Then Alexander Rossi for Ed Carpenter Racing was 9th, and Kiffin Simpson for Chip Ganassi Racing finished 10th, giving Ganassi 3 drivers in the top 10. It was the first podium of the year for Scott Dixon. Another really tough day for Mick Schumacher, who is making his debut this season in IndyCar, and it was another rough weekend for him. We're going to hear about all of that from our co-host Elijah Poe, Dave Chanley, and Michelle Garmon right now. And Elijah, we had in our text chain a major disagreement I don't think we've ever had before. Michelle and I feel like Alex Palou was his race to win. He was sitting in prime position to pounce when it was time. You and Dave feel like a yellow cost Felix Rosenqvist a win. So explain your side, and we'll try to defend ours.
I'll say, first of all, this race at Long Beach, only 71 passes on track, and that immediately opens it up. Felix Rosenqvist had about a 2.5-second lead on Palou and was maintaining that and never really dropped below that 2.5 marker before that caution flew. And I'm just not sure Alex Palou would be able to get it done on track just because Felix Rosenqvist's pace was on par with Palou. And even though Palou caught up after that first pit cycle, Rosenqvist was still able to build that gap right after they pitted. I think it would have been close, no doubt, but with just how hard it is to pass around here at Long Beach, I think Rosenqvist had that in the bag.
I'm going to second that and say that, yes, he had almost a 3-second lead. That's a huge lead. I don't care how long you're in the pits. And the whole race came down to the caution, which really wasn't a caution because there was no collision or anything on the course. It was just for debris. It's even an unusual caution. And then when you look at the pit boxes, Palou had an easy in and out, and for sure Rosenqvist did not. He had to get in and out. Well, he got in early, but he had to then fight his way out of there. And if you'll notice, as they were pulling out, he only was behind as he caught up to the pit box about a half a car length. So he almost got it anyway, but the whole race was the caution and the pit box location. It's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
I really wish that Rosenqvist would have gotten the lead out of the pits, but I still think Alex Palou is going to win the race. I think he was the better car. I think that was proven after he got the lead and he ran away from everybody. I feel like he was just sitting there primed for the last leg of the race, and that 10 crew was going to win. There was no doubt in my mind, and it ended up being the crew that was the difference. But if it had gone under green, the crew probably would have been the difference anyway, because that's what they do, Michelle.
Yes, and here's my theory. Yes, it was 2.5 seconds or a little or two when the yellow came out, but they were still 3 to 4 laps from pitting. And if you remember the first time they pit, Alex Palou was almost 2 seconds behind, and he got it down inside a second. And I think that's what he was doing. I think he was conserving fuel, and I think he was wear on his tires because I'm not even sure he wasn't playing to maybe if Rosenquist pitted first, he could get one more lap in clean air and not have to worry and just go hard and then come into the pits because he's got the best pick. He's got the best crew in IndyCar. And there's no doubt. Now, granted, his pit location was prime, but hey, that happens sometimes. And you earn those, huh?
It would have been prime under green, too.
It would have been prime under green. And I really think he wanted to finish on the hard tires, and he did. And I think that was his strategy. Rosenquist wanted to finish on the soft, but when Palou was going with the softs on his second round, Rosenquist doesn't like the hards. I think he felt like Palou would have a distinct advantage at that point, and because Rosie didn't really want to use the hard, and so he had to finish on the hard. And I think it played out. I mean, you look when Palou came out, I think he got the race the way he wanted. He got to run 2 sets of reds and finish on the hard compound. And that's what he wanted to finish on there at Long Beach. And because of what he wanted to do, he kind of, I think him and the crew, I think it may have adjusted Rosenquist's strategy because I think he wanted to go soft, hard, soft. But don't think that they felt like they could do that having such a narrow lead over Palou when they came in on the first pit stop.
Palou even said in the post interview he wasn't sure if he could have beaten Rosenquist without the caution. And Dixon also said he wasn't sure anybody could have done anything with Rosenquist had the caution not come out. I'm just going to go by what those two said.
Yeah, that's fine. I was just listening to what they were talking about and their strategies and everything. And I agree with Greg. I think it was Palou's to lose another. They just don't make mistakes. And, I do feel bad for Rosenquist because we won't know with that caution coming out. But if there is a team and there is a car and there is a driver that can make that pass to win that race, it's Palou and the 10 crew.
Yeah,
the vote remains 2-2.
Doubting Alex Palou at this point. I don't know what he's done to make you doubt him at all.
Well, I just can't give him credit for something we'll never know. I feel like we give him enough of his flowers, and I got to give my flowers to Rosenquist. I think he was strong all weekend. I think the red strategy for his tires was something that they were actually discussing on the radio in that first stint as well. But I think that was the way to go. But regardless, Meyer-Shank Racing, another solid day, and Felix Rosenquist continues to show why he's one of the best drivers in this series. These past 3 years, he's been up near the top throughout.
We talked about it on the IndyCar report this week. Elijah, can Meyer-Shank one day become one of the series staples that wins races with Andretti and Ganassi and Penske?
I think it's a good question. I'll chime in and think it's a race by race thing. Let's face it, the Penske, Ganassi, the top teams are the top teams, and everybody else can get in there for a race here and there and have their day. And this was the perfect week for Rosenquist because it was a perfect storm. Everything fell in place until it fell out of place. But I give him a lot of credit. I give his team credit because I don't think they made any mistakes. They did everything right. It just happened to be unlucky for them.
Talking about another driver who needed a good weekend and had one was Scott Dixon finishing on the podium. His first podium of the year was really racy all throughout this weekend, but a huge podium he was able to convert to sweep up his first one of the year here.
Greg called it.
I think out of the top 6 starters, 5 finished in the top 5. Malukas is the only one that dropped to 7th, which tells me that Okay. Let me go on my rant. This is a follow the leader track. It's what it is. If I were an IndyCar person trying to decide whether I wanted to watch IndyCar, today's race would not have helped me in any way because it was boring. I had a couple guys text me that know I love racing, and they say this race is boring. And they were exactly, I could not disagree. The reason Long Beach is so famous, isn't it the second longest or the second oldest race on the circuit? So give them kudos for that. And
Milwaukee goes back longer. Long Beach has been more
Continuous.
consecutive. Yeah. And I'll give them kudos for that. It's good they have that race, but that race is a follow the leader track. You're not going to see passing. It's just not going to happen. And as from that standpoint, I'm glad to get. It was what I thought it would be. It was actually what I thought it would be. Let's get this race over with, and let's get on to Indianapolis.
Through the history of it, it is clearly one of the least compelling races every year.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's kind of like it's kind of like Indianapolis Motor Speedway is for the Brickyard NASCAR race, right? It's just follow.
Yeah.
You got an iconic track, but it doesn't really make for great NASCAR racing. It makes for great IndyCar racing.
I thought Elijah made a good comparison.
Yeah, I said it in the group chat. I was about to bring it up. It's IndyCar's Monaco. It's a beautiful location. The cars look good on track, and then you actually see the cars race each other, and it's just a little bit of a boring product. And I have to go back to that yellow. I don't think it should have been thrown. Full safety car. I think you go to any other racing series in the world, I think they would have just done either a virtual safety car or a partial yellow. But then again, it did provide some content we're talking about here. So
because they didn't really throw the yellow till the one car hit the debris. And then that's when they threw that full course yellow. And it made me wonder if they thought there might have been damage to that car and you're going to have an accident on out. I don't know.
Oh, I think it was Newgarden's his front right tire. Luckily, he just clipped that at a perfect angle not to get any damage. But
that race really freaking needed a yellow. It was really boring up to that point. I mean, really boring.
But I hate the thought of needing a yellow just because you need a yellow. I'd rather just finish the race.
But it made for a better race, and that's what I'm looking for, is a great racing.
But it becomes a better race if that yellow comes in the middle of a green and a long green flag stretch instead of when almost cars are going to start coming in for pits anyway. Because in the middle of that race, then you get a lot of strategy.
Michelle, well said. Well said.
I think that's
another good day for Alexander Rossi, who started in 18th. It was such a shocker to see him kind of climb up, as the ECR crew has kind of been nowhere throughout this whole weekend, but that was a shocker to me. And also a shout out to Graham Rahal, back-to-back top 10, first time since 2024 for him.
Dennis Hogger, yes, good race. Good race, too, for Nolan Siegel, Kiffin Simpson. Kiffin Simpson, who is kind of not. Yes, both of them.
Come on. Nolan Siegel and Kiffin Simpson should be embarrassed to be driving and people going, yay, you went from 25th to 11th.
But I mean, they've not had good starts to the season. So
they've been horrible.
Right. And so sometimes you need something to give you some momentum going forward. And that's what I'm saying
like
for
they
them.
were trying so hard on the broadcast to say, look at Nolan Siegel and Kiffin Simpson. And it felt like a participation trophy they were trying to throw at him. We've been spoiled with this IndyCar season. It's great racing week after week.
And I'll say, I'm not sure it's going to get 100% better. I think it's been 3 or 4 years since we've seen a really, really good race at the Indy Road Course coming up next, just because Alex Palou dominated it.
It is actually a pretty good course for passing.
Yeah.
You know, the funny thing is, Palou's won 4 of the first 5 races this year, like last year. But last year at this time, the points race was over. This year it is not. Palou, the second half of the season clearly was not as good as the first half of the season, and he only has a 17-point lead on Kirkwood.
I think it was a good job by Kirkwood, even though he wasn't able to pull off that podium spot. Just sticking in that fourth place, and I think it's only a 17-point gap now to Alex Palou. This is what, if you want to beat Alex Palou, you have to kind of be Alex Palou, and you won't find Alex Palou out of a top 5. So I think a fourth place spot, even though it's probably not what they wanted for Andretti and Kirkwood, I think that's a really good result for them.
Well, just staying within striking distance, because I know Andretti doesn't always have the best luck at Indianapolis, but it's a strong race team, and they'll be dialed in for the month of May. So it could be very interesting. I think the month of May could be exciting. And I think the points race could be become a very interesting thing, and because there's no guarantee that Palou will win the road course, and there's no guarantee that he'll win the 500. It will be interesting to see how he does try out, if he's able to make a good showing as a defending 500 champion.
Yeah, and I think talking about a 500 champion, I'll be remiss if we didn't talk about Joseph Newgarden's bold three-stop strategy that all got blown up with that caution flying.
The team was pretty good today, and I thought it was a really good sign for Penske, even though that strategy was
it was a
bold.
risk.
Well, you want to talk, yeah, it was. You want to talk about a good steady race for a Penske driver today? That's Susie's guy, right? McLaughlin. I still say, I think that you're talking about, I think Chip Ganassi Racing is the best at saving and making those red tires, those softs, last longer than some others race teams. I think both Palou and Dixon are good at that.
I think they're the best in it in the series. Greg and I talked at length about Scott Dixon this week on the IndyCar report, but we also talked about Will Power, who was looking to maybe secure a top 5 spot before he hit Kyle Collette's crew member there on the back left tire. Unfortunate, got a penalty for that, and I think Michelle said it in the chat. Those pit boxes at Long Beach are incredibly tight.
They don't really give the drivers any room, because what made that even harder for Power, and probably the reason he ran over that guy, is there was another car coming in. He had to kind of go wider so he didn't get hit as he's coming out. And it's so tight, those boxes are so tight, they really don't give you space to avoid that without just full stopping and hoping you don't stall your car right there and somebody take you out.
And another driver we talked about that had another unfortunate weekend, it seems to be a theme for him, Mick Schumacher. Give him credit, he did move up 4 positions, but still ending up in 17th place. It's been a really, really rough start for him in RLL, and he's honestly one of the most kind of irrelevant drivers, not shown on the broadcast very much. It's been a brutal start for him for sure.
That's why it's shocking. He has such a great background, and he looks lost.
I would say that's a pretty solid seat. When I guess Grosjean came in, he was obviously at Andretti, but I say the RLL team, I mean, we've seen what Graham Rahal has been doing this year. But I'll give Mick Schumacher credit. I actually do think he's going to be good at the 500, just because he's going to have so many opportunities to be in the seat. I got to agree with you there, Dave, as well. It's just so fresh for him right now. I think you give him some time to maybe really learn and really sit in that car for an extended amount of time. I think he could get it, but he's no doubt on the struggle bus.
Put him with a really good crew, like a Palou, like what Ganassi has with Palou and Dixon and everything. A veteran crew, he might be just a little bit better, but I do think he's learning. Here's my thing. I think once he learns, he's going to be more aggressive, but I think he's racing with a not to make a mistake mentality.
Yeah, can't disagree. And It's a shame we're going to have to wait a couple more weekends here as IndyCar will next head to the Indianapolis Road Course, a really solid race and usually a pretty good turnout for IndyCar fans getting pumped in the month of May. And before we kind of end it and wrap it up here, May 9th for the road course. Man, I'm an Indy 500 traditionalist. I don't know if I like that late start for them.
Yes, it does.
We've also got the open test here in a couple weeks, the 28th and 29th. I think there's been rumors that Catherine Legge might drive for AJ Foyt, which I'm sure we're going to get into in the IndyCar port this week.
Everybody, please join us for that. Dave, Michelle, please feel free to join us for the IndyCar report. Thanks so much. That was a lot of fun. I think our podcast was more entertaining than the race, guys.
It was.
The Central Indiana Sports Report is a product of ITG Media. I love you, Susie.